Yo, what's going on, everyone? It's your boy DLloyd, and welcome back to another episode of our Washington Redskins Madden 20 Connected franchise series. I don't know if you could really call this an episode. What we're going to be doing today is we're going to be going through the career stats of some of our guys, man. We have finished season 5, so we've played half a decade. I figured why not go ahead, reminisce a little bit, and let's look at some of the stats from some of our key guys. We'll also maybe take a look at some guys who maybe left our team if I can remember to look them up. I might forget, man. We'll see what happens. But let's go through and look at some of the career stats. So hopefully this video isn't too long. We'll ultimately see, man. But we're going to go ahead and start off with Dwayne Haskins. Of course, he was a rookie when we took over. Started at the year 2019. He now has progressed to an X Factor player with brick wall. Not really thrilled for that X Factor ability, but he's solid, man. Inside Deadeye, Conductor, Homer, Red Zone Deadeye. Once he hits that 95 overall, which hopefully he can hit in the season, he'll get one more ability. But let's take a look, man, at his career stats. So rookie season did not start right away. I think it took him a couple of games before he finally became that guy. But 81 quarterback rating, by far his lowest quarterback rating, 2,500 passing yards, more interceptions thrown than touchdowns, 12 TDs, 13 interceptions. Not the greatest year. He did complete 63% of his passes. It was his lowest yards per attempt also. So, I mean, definitely some growing pains his rookie year. Bounced back, had a great sophomore season, 106 quarterback rating, 3,600 passing yards, 31 touchdowns, 17 picks, 68% completion. So pretty much every stat improved from his rookie season to his sophomore season. Not bad. Third season, you kind of look for that leap, right? That real true growth. What can he really be as a player? And we still got an improvement. Went from 106 quarterback rating to 107, 4,700 passing yards. So it went 1,100 passing yards more than last year. That's still a career high even to this day. 36 touchdowns, 18 interceptions. I don't think that was bad. His completion percentage dropped to 67%, but his yards per attempt slightly went up. So I don't think it was bad. He did throw the ball more also this season. Then going into season number 4 for Dwayne Haskins, right before we give him the big deal, of course, or took the 50-year option. 111 quarterback rating, 36 touchdowns, 19 interceptions, 71% completion percentage. Not better than this year. He definitely improved up to 121. Now we did throw the ball a little bit less, so a little bit more efficient. He threw the ball over 20 times less than last season, but did have an extra touchdown. Threw for way more yards at 4,300. I think a lot of that also could be contributed to our receivers really stepping up this year. We'll take a look at their stats as well. With 37 touchdowns to 18 interceptions, 11.5 yards per attempt. Not bad. Now the only problem with Dwayne Haskins is you see this massive contract that he's about to go into, man, getting paid each and every single year with $112 million guaranteed. There's a lot of money. But anyway, man, but look at Derrius Guice. He is now X Factor with first one free. He has Bulldozer. Does not have a second ability unlocked yet. Let's go back to the age quickly. He is now 27 years old. So obviously this is his last contract with us. He has a couple more seasons left. But for Guice, man, when we took over, 200 yards rushing, injury riddle year, only 3.7 yards per carry. But he had a crazy third season at 1,600 rushing yards, 5.9 yards a carry, 15 touchdowns, 109 yards per game, 22 broken tackles. He did have 5 fumbles. A phenomenal season, though. Did get in 277 attempts. Then the year after that, he was injured again, basically. Only 99 attempts, 400 yards, and that went from 5.9 yards a carry to 4.4 yards a carry. But then he bounced back nicely, up to 1,200 yards rushing, 11 touchdowns, and then this season, 1,200 rushing yards. His average went down just a little bit, but he gained more in touchdowns with 18 touchdowns compared to 11 the prior year. So I don't think that was bad in terms of the progression for Derrius Guice. Kind of happy with what we got with him. Jeffrey Dotson, let's see if he's really been around long enough to see anything. Only 2 seasons, 400 yards his rookie year, came back to only 176, only 41 attempts this season. But Derrius Guice really got everything rolling. Really didn't use Jeffrey Dotson as much, but he's still young, only 23 years old. Samaje Perine, you will see a decline in him because we haven't used him as much, but from the first season that we used him, 140 yards off 21 attempts, then had 253, and then the year where Guice was obviously injured, he had 102 carries for 576 yards, more yards per attempt than Derrius Guice. Very solid. Then this last season, only 2 carries for -1 yard, as he kind of just fell out of the rotation here as we got Jeffrey Dotson, and Guice stayed healthy the majority of the season. Max Smart, I don't really think there's much to go into. Now, of course, Quincy Wembley. Let's take a look at what Quincy has done. Of course, our first round pick in the series. He is now an X Factor as well. Came in the 2020 season with 67 catches, 795 receiving yards, 4 touchdowns. Solid. I really wish this game would track the drops throughout the season. I think that would be a pretty cool stat to look at as well. Hopefully, if anybody from EA is watching that, maybe we can make that happen. I don't know why that's too hard to add to it. But then 2021, 88 catches, a big production increase in catches and receiving yards, up to 1,300, just barely missed 1,400 receiving yards that season. Got 11 touchdowns, then came back with 84 catches, 1,100 yards, 16 touchdowns, which is a career high. Then this last season, back down to 64 catches, was actually a career low. But look at the yards, up to from 67 catches and 795 his rookie year, 64 catches, 1,200 yards, 19 yards per reception, and still gave us 11 touchdowns. So Quincy Wembley, he was still hurt a little bit this year as well, but still made a ton of big plays. You can see the progression, and this kid, I think, could definitely be a Hall of Famer when we're all said and done with his career, man. John Ross, who now has an X Factor ability that I just noticed live right now. He has Mossed. So true legendary receiver makes the impossible possible. When they enter the zone, they have a greatly increased success rate on aggressive catches of 50+ yards regardless of coverage. Whoa, that's going to be dangerous, man. That is going to be dangerous. Now, we look at John Ross, who had a breakout season. Look at the first couple of seasons. 0 catches, 21 catches, 63 catches. I want to say we brought him in 2022. I don't think he was on the team 2021. I'm starting to remember. That's why I wish they also put the teams that they were with you. Maybe he was here in 2021, and then we had him the last 3 seasons. As you see it increase from 1 touchdown to 9 touchdowns, and that goes up to 11. Just this last season, 60 catches, 1,300 yards, just under 22 yards per reception, 15 touchdowns. This man John Ross, incredible man. Of course, going into the final year of his contract, he's going to probably want to get paid, especially now he has the Mossed ability. Terry McLaurin, obviously his production did level off a little bit just because of the emergence of John Ross. But he had a great 3rd season at 50 catches, 849 yards, 4 touchdowns. Then, of course, that dropped down to 38 catches, but he's still a big play receiver. You see his averages never really dropped off, especially over the last 3 seasons. 17 yards a catch, 16, and then 17 yards per reception. Still a big play threat. If anybody gets hurt, I have no issues with Terry McLaurin. Trey Quinn has seen his production basically hit 0 during his time with us. You see he had 62 catches our first season. Then that went down to 6, 18, 12 in the 4th season. Just as we got better receivers, he just kind of fell out of that rotation also, man. Chris Herndon, I think Chris Herndon has been very, very solid for us since we acquired him as well. As you see his stats dip down, then immediately come back up at 44 catches, then 50 catches. Then last season, 53 catches for 600 yards and 7 touchdowns. Not bad. Jordan Reed, of course, his is going to fall off also. First season with us, 72 catches. Then that dropped to 62, 43, 9, and then 7. You see the gradual dip off, but he is now 34 years of age. I don't even know if he comes back. We haven't advanced to the offseason technically, so we don't even know if he comes back next season or not. But Jordan Reed, he's just up there in age, man. Still somehow 78 overall, which is impressive. I think for offensive line, it's just not much to show in terms of stats. So we'll go ahead and skip a lot of those. Rashan Gary for us. He has been with us the last 3 seasons. I want to say. Obviously nothing the first year. 40 total tackles, 5 sacks, then came back with 27 total tackles, 6 sacks, 5 sacks. So very, very consistent, just level throughout the board, man. Really not much to say about Gary. He's reliable. He doesn't play terrible for us, so I'm not mad. Jonathan Allen, a guy who I think will end up being a casualty of just the cap space. I think he played, as of right now, my mindset is he's played his last game with us. But you see, he went from 5 sacks, 7.5 sacks, with 5 tackles for a loss, 9 sacks, 6 sacks, and then this season 2 sacks. He still had the 9 tackles for a loss, so still maintained there. 33 tackles, just the 2 sacks. I don't know if we want to spend that money back into him, as he can still perform, but he's getting up there, man. Going to be 30 years old. I think we're going to move on. Payne at 27 years old. Let's look at how he's kind of progressed through. 1 sack, 3 sacks, 3 sacks, 5.5 sacks, and then 1.5 sacks. So a little dip off, but also this year, remember, I was trying to play with the defensive lineman. That's not my thing. Terrible at it. But he did get an increase in tackles up to 39. Still had 9 tackles for a loss. So, I mean, we'll take that from Payne, man. Looking at outside linebacker, Khalil Mack going into the final season of his expensive contract. Khalil Mack, man, when we took him over, got him, you see the media jump: 14 sacks, 16.5 sacks, 35 sacks, 27 sacks, and just this last year, 22.5 sacks. So he's still doing big things for us. I'm thinking we're going to hold on to him for one more season. Just kind of giving you guys a glimpse of my head going into the offseason, just because he's still performing at an elite level. And he is a big person and contributor to this team. And then we'll kind of go from there. He's a 95 now. I'm sure he'll drop, but if he's still over at 90 overall, but we can't release him or trade him without any penalty. We have a 0 penalty, so that's something that's worth noting. Also, when we went to quarterbacks, I know a lot of you guys talking about Haskins. It's the $86 million. I give you the exact number. $86 million penalty if we trade him or release him. But even if we trade him, we have to pay that penalty. Tremaine Edmunds. Now, Tremaine Edmunds is big to note because Tremaine Edmunds basically replaced Shaun Dion Hamilton. So you look at Tremaine Edmunds with 26. He's 26 years old, 86 overall. He replaced for the Steelers Shaun Dion Hamilton. Now, Shaun Dion Hamilton, the second guy. But Shaun Dion Hamilton currently is only a star. I feel like maybe that dropped. I can't be 100% sure. I felt like he was higher than just a star when we had him. Now, Shaun Dion Hamilton for us went crazy. 110 tackles, 5 picks, 119 tackles, 8 picks, and then 101 tackles, 5 picks before we let him go. Shipped him out. Now he dropped to 97 tackles and then 77 tackles. He hasn't had an interception since he left Washington. So that's something to note for Shaun Dion Hamilton, man. But we end up with Tremaine Edmunds, who's the same age, who's much cheaper, and now he is an X factor with the run stuffer ability, secure tackler. If we can move him up a little bit, maybe he could get that second slot. But you look at the stats, we brought him in. He went to 95 tackles, which obviously wasn't as good as Shaun Dion Hamilton's, but it was solid. And then he outperformed anything Shaun Dion Hamilton has done for us with 160 tackles, 20 tackles for a loss, 8.5 sacks, and 6 interceptions. An unbelievable season that obviously got him up to an X factor. So I'm very, very interested to see what he could do throughout his career. A fantastic season. I don't know if he could relive that, but it was a great season. Then DeMarcus Richard is a guy that we brought in literally at the deadline, basically. He finished with 42 tackles, 8 tackles for a loss, 4 interceptions. He is a kid I think could also be very, very good down the line. And both of them are cheap. Richard, look at his contract. 2 more seasons getting under $700,000. And then Edmunds, of course, for us, he is $5 million, and then we're going to have to pay him, obviously. But we got three basically solid seasons at a cheap price. So I'm not going to complain about that. Now, Montez Sweat, of course, we had him since his rookie season also. Let's see what he has done. He's already earned the contract extension. Now, his rookie season, 7 sacks, 12 tackles for a loss, then 10.5 sacks. So definitely improved. Did lose a little bit on the TFLs, but not bad. Then the TFLs went through the roof. I would take that. Lose a sack and a half, but you gain 11 extra tackles for a loss. That is great. And then this season, only 4.5. Oh, not this season. Last season, only 4.5 sacks, but 19 TFLs. This season, 13 TFLs, 8.5 sacks. So Montez Sweat been very, very, I guess, he's been solid for us. I wouldn't say it was great so far, but he's been solid for us. No complaints at all for Montez Sweat. Now at cornerback, we have Greedy Williams, who you see in Greedy Williams, his stats, interceptions have dropped off from 4, and then 1, but his deflections this season went up to 11. So, I mean, that's not bad. Greedy Williams never really had a terrible game for us this season. He's a solid guy. Martavis Boss is a kid that we drafted. I want to say, was it a first rounder? Yes, 30th overall first rounder, 2 Pro Bowl appearances for Martavis Boss. You see 1 pick, then 3 interceptions, but he also had 11 deflections. I think a lot of his stats come from kick returning, as he did not do that this season, but no touchdowns, but you see the averages are very, very high. So that's where Martavis Boss, a lot of his Pro Bowl appearances came from. Jacob Buddy had just the 1 season for so far. But it was a solid season. 2 interceptions, 5 deflections as our slot cornerback, our nickel guy. Can't really complain there. At free safety, Monte Nicholson, you see the evolution of him, as he is a zone hawk with tip drill. I don't know if he'll quite get to that 90 overall as he's getting older and obviously more and more XP, but look at the evolution, man. The first season, 77 tackles, 4 picks, then 60 tackles, then 93 tackles, and then 129 tackles with 4 sacks, 9 interceptions, 12 deflections, all in 1 season, man. Then follow that up with 103 tackles and 3 interceptions, mainly with the CPU using them. Not bad at all. Then, of course, fan favorite, man, you have Landon Collins. Landon Collins, got him in, 2019, 111 tackles, 91 tackles, 81 tackles, 99 tackles, then 122 tackles from Landon Collins, man. Absolutely amazing. And when you look at his forced fumbles, of course, the first year was ridiculous with 18, but he still held on with 10, 4, 9, and then 6. So Landon Collins has done his thing. CJ Boudreau, what is he looking at for his stats? Only played 1 season. He was 14 for 19, 73% connection rate. His long says 56, but I think he hit a 59-yarder in the playoffs. It's not going to show. Only missed 1 extra point, and you guys know how rough our kicking situation has been. So missing 1 extra point, not bad. Really, his misses come from 50 yards plus. 4 for 8, 50 yards plus, but 2 for 3, anything under 50. And then in the 30s, hasn't missed. 20s, hasn't missed. So from our kicking woes, we cannot complain at all, man. So I think that is mainly it. You see our draft picks, just for a reminder, we don't have a 3. We do have, or a 5, but we do have 2 7s. We have our first rounder and our second rounder, man. But I think that's everything. What are we at? Almost 18, 19 minutes when it's said and done, man. Hopefully I didn't miss much. I just kind of wanted to go back through the career stats because, you know, when you're putting out all the videos and we're kind of moving along, it's sometimes you forget to look back at the evolution and the progression at a lot of these guys, man. And a lot of our team has really evolved, and, you know, we got to the point where we had a great team. You see the 87 overall this season, across the board and everything. Obviously, we have to let some guys go this season, but you can kind of see where we were and what we built, man. Because Haskins the X Factor, Guice the X Factor, Quincy Wembley, our first round pick is the X Factor. If we can remember where we picked him, like what number also we picked him. 20th overall pick, man, with 3 Pro Bowl appearances, Rookie of the Year. That's just something that, you know, it's cool to look back on, man. And then John Ross, we picked him up as a free agent. For pennies, man, and he's now X Factor. Defensive side of the ball, we have a bunch now. Tremaine Edmunds was the guy we just had to kind of bring in. Richard is good. Montez Nicholson, we made the X Factor. So it's been cool, man. It's been a great 5-year journey, but hopefully this was a cool episode for you guys to watch. We'll definitely go ahead and get out of here before it gets too long. Hope you guys have been enjoying the series. If you have, please go ahead and leave this a like. Helps me out a lot, man. Subscribe if you haven't already. It's your boy D Lloyd. I'm gonna see y'all next time. Peace.